Okay, so this is a recorded video for your cost volume profit analysis discussion. CVP analysis is the study of the effects the change in cost and volume had on a company's profits. Okay, so magagamit natin yung CVP analysis in a lot of things. So sa CVP analysis, pwede natin gamitin to by testing kung ano ba yung magiging profit ng company kapag meron tayong certain value for cost and volume. Or it's the other way around. If we have a target profit, ano ba yung dapat na maging volume ng ating magiging production given na meron tayong values for cost. Okay? So here are the definition for that you will learn for this discussion. Number 1 is your contribution margin. Your contribution margin is the excess of sales to your variable cost. So nako-compute natin yung contribution margin by sales less your variable cost. Okay. So, ang matitira na lang dito is yung amount that will cover fixed expenses. After covering fixed expenses, mako-compute na natin yung profit from your contribution margin. Okay? Okay. Next, your contribution margin ratio naman is your contribution margin over sales. Okay? So, ano bang portion ng inyong sales ang contribution margin or anong percentage ng sales ang inyong contribution margin? Okay? Contribution margin per unit is your selling price per unit less variable cost per unit. Okay? And then next is yung margin of safety. So margin of safety, it determines kung hanggang saan natin pwedeng ibaba yung volume na ibibenta natin without having our net income on a negative side or without incurring a loss. So ang formula natin for margin of safety is your actual sales or yung target sales na lang, target sales less yung ating break-even point in sales. Okay? Next, margin of safety ratio is margin of safety is divided by the actual budgeted sales or profit margin ratio divided by your contribution margin ratio. Okay. And then yung relevant range na pag-aralan natin to with our previous discussion. It is a limit of which yung cost natin will have a certain relationship or magiging valid yung relationship ng ating cost to the volume or activity. Okay? Yung sales mix naman, magagamit natin to later on if we are computing for the break-even point if meron tayong multiple products. Ano ba yung best combination ng products that will be most profitable for us? Okay? Cost structure, ang cost structure po is it follows yung ating formula that total cost is equals to your variable cost plus your fixed cost. Okay? So yung variable cost, these are costs that changes in relation to volume or activity while your fixed cost remains the same all throughout the relevant range within the relevant range fixed lang siya or hindi siya nagbabago regardless kung ilan yung production or volume of activity. Operating leverage, it is the percentage as to the organization utilizes its fixed cost in terms of its operation. Okay, so ano ba yung mga assumptions natin for CVP analysis? Okay, so number 1 assumption natin sa CVP analysis is that dapat ma-build up natin yung relationship ng ating cost. Okay? Dapat meron tayong equation for our cost. Okay? And then, now let's proceed to the break-even analysis or sa break-even analysis, dito natin tinitignan kung ano ba yung minimum na sales or volume na pwede nating ma-reach before earning a profit. Okay? Break-even point is the volume of activity wherein na-cover na natin yung expenses, which is your variable cost and your fixed cost. Okay? There are methods of computing the break-even point. Okay? So, tignan muna natin kung paano ba nako-compute yung profit pag ang ginagamit natin is yung contribution margin income statement. Sa contribution margin income statement, we deduct first the variable cost, whether period or product cost yan, basta variable cost yan, dinideduct muna natin yan sa sales. Okay? So, your sales less your variable cost is equals to your contribution margin. And then, we deduct our fixed costs at ito yung ating profit. You have to take note that at break-even point, profit should be zero. Is at zero. Ibig sabihin, ito yung maximum or minimum, pwede ring minimum na volume na kailangan nating mabenta para ma-cover yung ating fixed cost. Okay? So first, punta tayo sa equation method. Sa equation method, your sales is equals your variable cost plus fixed cost plus profit. Okay? So you can um change this formula by working around the formula. Say for instance, meron kang target profit. Okay, so in order for you to get your profit, you have to deduct your variable costs from your sales and you have to deduct as well your fixed costs. Okay? Next is the contribution margin approach. To compute for the break-even point, meron tayong certain formula. So, napag-aralan natin kanina na ang contribution margin is equals to your sales less variable cost. Okay? Your contribution margin per unit is equals to your selling price per unit less variable cost per unit. And ang CM ratio natin is your total CM or your total sales. O pwede rin naman kung ang binigay sa inyo ay CM per unit at selling price per unit. Kasi your CM ratio represents kung ano ba yung percentage ng CM as to sales. Okay? And then third approach natin is yung graphic approach. So kung titignan ninyo, this is your graph for revenue. So kapag tumataas yung ating units sold, pataas din yung ating revenue line. Okay? And we have your total cost. Okay? This is your total cost. Kung saan magmi-meet yung total cost line ninyo at saka yung revenue line, that is where your profit. Okay? That is where your break-even point is. Okay? Ibig sabihin, sa break-even point, revenue is equals to your expenses. Kasi wala nga tayong profit sa break-even point. Okay? To compute for the break-even point, pwede nating gamitin yung CM approach. Okay? To compute for the break-even point in units, ibig sabihin, ano ba yung target sales natin bago tayo makapag-generate ng profit. Okay? So, anong purpose ng break-even point ba? Okay. So, for instance, iniisip mo kung ano ba yung quota mo for a day. Okay? Pag sinabi mong quota, ibig sabihin, yun yung minimum na pwede mong minimum na dapat mong mabenta within one day para ma-cover mo lahat yung iyong cost. Okay? Ibig sabihin, hindi ka lugi. Okay? Producing less than the break-even point in units will lead you to a loss. But producing more than your break-even point in units will give you profit. Okay? So kapag less than break-even point, ang na-generate mo, that will be equal to a loss. Okay? Pag more than break-even point, ang na-produce mo for a day, that will be equal to a profit. Okay? So, ito yung quota mo. Okay? So, kung ayaw mong magkaroon ng profit or ayaw mong magkaroon ng loss, dapat makompute mo kung ano ba yung volume or activity or dapat mong mabenta na break-even ka lang. Break-even kasi break-even or even lang yung revenue at saka yung expenses nyo. Okay? So to compute for the break-even point in units, when you say in units, ibig sabihin ito yung number of units na kailangan mong mabenta to cover yung iyong cost without profit or loss. Okay? So the formula to compute for the break-even point in units is total fixed cost divided by CM per unit. Okay, so bakit ganyan ba yung formula natin? So balikan natin yung ating contribution margin income statement. You have your sales here. Variable cost is equals less variable cost. Sales less variable cost is equals your contribution margin. Okay? From the contribution margin, you will deduct your fixed cost. Okay? And this is your profit. Okay? So, yung profit mo is ito. Sabi natin at break-even point, your profit is equals to 0. Ibig sabihin, dapat yung contribution margin mo is equals to your fixed cost. Alright? Anong level of sales or ilang units ang dapat mong mabenta para yung CM mo is equals to your fixed cost. Okay? Kasi 'di ba at break-even point, profit is at 0. That is why yung total fixed cost dinidivide natin to CM per unit para ma-compute natin kung ilan yung break-even point in units natin. If in case naman kailangan nating i-compute is break-even point in pesos, you have to divide your total fixed cost to the CM ratio, which is your CM divided by sales. Or, other alternative for break-even point in pesos is your break-even point in units multiplied by your selling price. Okay? So, yan yung alternative option na meron tayo. So, minsan kasi may mga problem na bibigyan ka ng BEP in units, ang meron ka is total fixed cost, CM per unit, pero ang hinihingi nila is BEP in pesos. So, from there, makukompute mo yung BEP in units, i-multiply mo na lang siya sa selling price per unit. Okay? Para makuha mo si break-even point in pesos. Okay? So, tignan natin. Next. Magagamit din natin yung CVP analysis para malaman natin kung ilang units ba yung dapat nating mabenta if we have a target profit. Okay? So kung meron na tayong target profit involved, mako-compute na maa-attain natin yung target profit involved natin using CVP analysis. So, para malaman mo kung ilan ba yung dapat mong mabenta to attain a certain profit, the formula will be your total fixed cost plus target profit divided by CM per unit. That will be equal to the sales in units. Next. Yung desired sales in pesos, ito naman yung amount na dapat mong ma-generate para ma-attain yung iyong target profit. So you have your total fixed cost plus your target profit divided by CM ratio. Or another alternative for this one is your desired sales in units, i-multiply mo lang ng selling price. Okay? Next. Punta naman tayo sa margin of safety. Pag sinabi nating margin of safety, ito yung amount na pwede mong babaan yung sales in units mo bago ka at a point na hindi ka mag-incur ng loss. Okay? So your MS or margin of safety in units is equals your sales in units less your break-even point. Okay? And then your MS in pesos is your sales in pesos less your break-even point in pesos. Okay? Your MS ratio is your MS in pesos divided by sales in pesos, or pwede din namang MS in units divided by sales in units. Okay. Para mas maintindihan natin at ma-practice tayo, let's see an illustration. So, previously naibigay ko sa inyo yung handout at wala yung mga sagot. So, ito na po yung mga sagot for your handouts. Okay. So, ABC Company plans to market a new product based on its market studies. ABC estimates that it can sell 150 units in a year. The selling price per unit is 5 pesos and the variable cost per unit is 2 pesos. Fixed costs are estimated to be at 120,000 pesos. Assume that the company desires to earn a profit of 350 pesos. Ito daw po yung mga required nating sagutan. Okay? Number 1. BEP in units, so break-even point in units. Ang formula natin for break-even point in units is your CM, is your fixed cost divided by your CM per unit. So let's compute for your CM per unit. Your CM per unit is equals to your selling price per unit less your variable cost per unit. So, ang selling price natin is at 5 pesos and ang variable cost natin is at 2 pesos. Therefore, your CM per unit is at 3 pesos. Okay. You have your fixed cost, 120,000, divided by 3 pesos is equals to 40,000 units. Okay? Ito yung minimum na kailangan nating mabenta para hindi tayo malugi. Or, pwede rin namang ang interpretation nyo, ito yung ito yung kailangan nating ma-reach bago tayo magkaroon ng profit. So kung titignan ninyo, for instance, ito yung break-even point in units natin. Yung pang 40,000 and 1 unit, 40,000 and 1 unit, doon ka mag-i-start na, na mag-earn ng profit. Okay? At 40,000, zero pa yung profit mo. Pag nakabenta ka ng additional 1 unit, mag-i-start ka na magkaroon ng profit. That is why yung pag-compute ng break-even point is very important sa business. Okay? Lalo na kapag nag-i-start up ka pa. Next, break-even point in pesos. So, alternatively, ang pwede ninyong gawin kung medyo nagmamadali na kayo and you have computed yung BEP in units, you just multiply 40,000 to the selling price per unit, which is 5 pesos. So, kung titignan ninyo, 40,000 times 5 pesos is equivalent to 200,000. Pero, another formula would be your fixed cost divided by your CM ratio. Okay, your CM ratio, bakit may CM per ratio dyan? Sorry for the mistake. Your CM ratio is equals to your CM, which is 3 pesos, over your selling price of 5 pesos. Therefore, this is equivalent to 60%. Tama ba? Okay, so tama naman. So 120,000 na fixed cost divided by your CM ratio is equals to 200,000. So this is your break-even point in pesos. Paano naman kapag from the break-even point in pesos, you want to compute for your break-even point in units? You just divide this by the selling price. 200,000 divided by 5 pesos is equals to 40,000 units. So ito yung mga types ng problem na kapag inintindi mo, hindi pwedeng hindi mo siya makukuha kasi paikot-ikot lang siya. Okay? So this is a very basic computation dito sa accounting. Kung kaya wag niyong kakalimutan yung mga formulas at saka relationships ng different items natin for CVP analysis. Okay. Next, MS in units. So MS in units. Okay, your formula for MS in units is your target sales less your break-even points. So, ang target sales daw ni ABC for this year is 150,000 units less 40,000 units. So, your MS in units is 110,000 units. Okay? Your MS in pesos is equals to your target sales less your break-even point in sales. To compute for your target sales, you just multiply this to 5 pesos. So 150,000 times 5 pesos, that is 750,000, less yung break-even point in pesos natin na 200,000, you will get 550,000. Or you can also compute MS in pesos by multiplying your MS in units by the selling price times 5. This is equivalent to 550,000 pesos. Okay? So be careful ha. Tignan nyo yung tanong. Kung ang tanong ay in units, dapat ang sagot natin ay in units, walang peso sign. Pero kapag in pesos, dapat may peso sign naman. Okay? Now, let's proceed to desired sales in units. So, ano ba ang desired sales natin? Okay. Sabi niya, gusto daw maka-earn ni company ng 350,000 pesos. Okay. So, your desired sales is equals to your fixed cost plus your target profit divided by your CM per unit. Your fixed cost is at 120, your target profit is at 350,000, and then yung CM per unit ninyo is at 3 pesos. Okay, na-compute na natin yung CM per unit kanina. Given naman yung fixed cost, given yung target profit ninyo. So your desired sales in units is equals to 156,667. Okay, may decimal yan. Kaya lang in units tayo, i-round up nyo na kung ano sa nearest na units yan. Round up hindi round off kasi mas ano yun, conservative yun kasi nga part of a unit, mag-round up ka na. Wala ka namang ipoproduce na half-half lang na units, 'di ba? So i-round up mo na lang. That is the safer answer pag units ang hinahanap. Decide sales in pesos. You can do so by multiplying this to the selling price. Okay? Pero magkakaroon ng differences in terms of siguro mga 10 pesos whatsoever. Pero that is okay lang naman. As long as your solution is correct, pwede rin namang i-consider yon. Okay? So, technically, your desired sales in pesos is computed as your fixed cost plus target profit divided by CM ratio. Fixed cost of 120 plus target profit of 350 divided by 60% is equals to 783,333 pesos. Okay? So kung titingnan natin yung contribution margin income statement natin, ganito yung magiging itsura. Okay? So ang actual natin is we are selling at 150,000. Kung 150,000 units yung binibenta natin, ang profit natin is at 330,000. But kung titignan ninyo at break-even point, di ba nga ang definition natin ng break-even point is wala tayong profit na ma-earn. Okay? So at break-even point, we are aiming to have 40,000 units. So zero yung profit natin at ending. And then your margin of safety is the difference between your actual or budgeted sales less your BEP. Okay? So 750 less 200. Teka lang, parang nagkamali ako dito. It should be 550 yata to. Wait lang ha. Ano nga ba yung margin of safety natin in units? Hindi ko ata nailagay. Compute lang natin, 110. Okay, so this is at 110. Let me just correct some of the amounts. So this one is at 550. Oops, sorry. Kasi 110 times 5 pesos. And this one is at 220. Okay? Yeah. 250 less 220 is 330. Okay. So your margin of safety in sales is your 750 less your BEP in sales of 200,000 equivalent to 550,000. Okay? Oops. I think I forgot yung fixed cost natin. Sandali lang. I-less natin yung fixed cost na 120,000. Your margin of safety profit is at 210 pesos. Okay? So, please correct your handouts. Ito po ang computation natin. Okay? Next. Okay. Next, punta naman tayo na doon sa target profit natin. Magkano na nga ba yung target profit natin? That is 350, 'di ba? So we will attain our target profit if we are able to sell 156,667 units of products. Okay? So next naman is punta tayo sa break-even point for multiple product line. Okay? So applicable to kapag yung company is merong multiple products na binibenta. Okay? So ano ba yung proper mix para makabenta at ma-attain natin yung tamang number of units na mabenta natin for each product line para ma-attain natin yung overall break-even point for the company. Okay? So, meron tayong 6 steps na dapat gawin. So, first is determine the sales mix or set the planned sales mix. And then next is determine the contribution margin for each product. And next is determine the weighted average contribution margin per unit by multiplying the number of units in the mix for each product to the corresponding CM per unit. Fourth, get the sum of the weighted average cap contribution margin to get the total WACM or the weighted average contribution margin and consider that as a single contribution margin per unit. Okay. Then fifth, determine the combined units or sales, total sales in pesos by dividing, hold on, by dividing the total fixed cost by the total weighted average contribution margin. And then 6, multiply the combined units or total sales in pesos derived from step 5 with the number of each product in the sales mix. Okay, so tignan natin para mas maintindihan natin yung step-by-step process. Okay, illustration number 2. ABC companies sells two types of products, si products X and Y. The company sells these products at a rate of 2 units of X and 4 units of Y. X has a contribution margin per unit of 6 pesos while Y has 3 pesos contribution margin per unit. ABC has total fixed cost of 480,000 and the selling price of X is 10 pesos while Y is 8. So, binigay na yung amount ng contribution margin natin. Okay? Okay. So, first step is yung sales mix natin. So, saan natin nakuha yung sales mix? Sabi niya, the company sells this product at the rate of 2 units of X for 4 units of Y. So, 2 kay X and then 4 kay Y. And then, let's compute the CM per unit. Actually, binigay na yan. We have 6 pesos for X and 3 pesos for Y. So, ilatag nyo lang. And then we get the weighted contribution margin per unit. You multiply 2 times 6, 4 times 3. That is 12 and this is 12. So, ang total weighted average contribution margin natin is at 24 pesos. Okay? And then, you determine the combined units or total sales in pesos by dividing the fixed cost by the total weighted average contribution margin. So, magkano yung fixed cost natin? We have 480,000 divided by 24 pesos is yung combined natin is 20,000 pesos. Okay? And then, ilatag mo si 20,000 dito, ilatag mo si 20,000 dito. And then, you multiply the combined units or total sales in pesos derived from step 5 with the number of each product in the sales mix. So, ano ba yung number of product in the sales mix natin? Ito, i-multiply natin dito. Okay? So, 2 times 20,000, that is 40,000. 4 times 20,000, that is 80,000. And then, your total sales in units should be 120,000 units. Okay? That's your break-even point in units. Okay? So, kailangan daw para ma-reach mo yung break-even point to cover the total fixed cost of 480,000, you have to sell 40,000 of unit X and 80,000 of unit Y. Okay, so tignan natin. Kung magbebenta tayo ng 40,000 of unit X at 80,000 unit Y, ang CM per unit natin is 6 pesos at 3 pesos. Your total CM is 40 times 6, 80 times 3, that's 240. Okay? Your total contribution margin is 480. And your total fixed cost as well is 480. Break-even point, 0 ang profit. So, tama yung ginawa natin, yung pag-compute natin. Okay? Okay. So, ito rin, kaya lang break-even point in pesos naman ito. Okay? So, ngayon, tignan natin yung sales mix ratio natin. Okay? Yung sales mix ratio natin is we have 2 and 4. Okay? 2 and 4. Paano na-compute yung 333 at saka 667? Okay. So, wait lang. Hmm, okay. So, paano na-compute yung 333.33 at 66.67? So, tignan nyo ha. Si X, sabi niya, sa sales mix natin, magpo-produce siya ng 2 for every units of 4 kay Y. This is total of 6. So, 2 over 6, that's 1/3 or 33.33%. Okay? And then, si 4 naman, this is 66.67%. Okay? And total of 100. Okay? So, yung CM ratio naman natin, nako-compute natin yan by CM per unit divided by selling price per unit. So yung CM per unit natin for X, ano ba yung CM natin? We have 6. And then, ang selling price niya is 10 pesos. So, 60%. 6 over 10 is 60%. And 3 over 8 is yun naman yung CM for Y, 37.5. So, lagay natin ha. So, it's 6 over 10. Tapos, yung isa ay nakalimutan ko. 3 over 8, I think. Let me just check. Yep, 3 over 8. 3 yung CM, tapos 8 yung selling price. And then you multiply 33.33% times 60%, you will get 20%. Ganon din po itong dalawang to. Okay? And then, pag-add nyo sila para makuha yung total weighted average contribution margin ratio natin. And then the 45,000, you will divide fixed costs divided from with 45% to get yung total sales in pesos natin. Okay? So, kailangan daw natin ng 1,666,666 pesos. Yan yung ating sales in pesos na paghahatian ni product X at saka ni product Y sa pagdating sa break-even point. Okay? You multiply your 33.33% to 1,066,667 para makuha mo kung magkano yung break-even point na share ni X, and then ganun din yung gagawin mo kay Y. So, pag pinag-total mo tong dalawang to, makukuha mo yung total sales natin. Okay? Ayan. So, to prove, meron tayong total sales na 1,666.67, and then yung sales mix natin is ito po, makukuha natin yung break-even point in sales natin. And then, yung computein mo yan by, you multiply yung break-even point in sales times the CM ratio to get your total CM. Your total CM will not actually equal to 480 pero close na. 8 pesos lang yung difference due to rounding off. But it's still yung break-even point mo or yung profit mo at break-even point is at 0. Okay? Next. For the degree of operating leverage naman, ito yung dependency ng entity sa paggamit ng kanyang fixed cost. Okay? Also, yung degree of operating leverage is nagagamit din natin to predict yung magiging changes sa profit if in case magkakaroon tayo ng changes sa sales natin. Okay? So the formula for your degree of operating leverage is equals to your total CM divided by profit, or percentage sales in profit divided by the percentage sales. Percentage change in sales. Okay? Your change in profit to um to forecast kung magkano yung magiging impact ng changes in profit sa inyong ano yung magiging change in profit for every change in sales. You multiply the change in sales to your degree of operating leverage. Okay? So, illustration number 3 tayo. ABC Company has the following results of operation from its present sales level of 10,000 units. So ang ginamit niya ulit dito, contribution margin income statement. Okay? Based on the above data, the company has a degree of operating leverage of 2.5%. Paano na-compute yun? You have your CM divided by your profit. 40,000 divided by 16,000, that is 2.5. Assume that the company's sales would increase by 20%, the profit would increase by, so 20% multiply nyo lang at 2.5%, you will get 50%. So kapag nag-change ng 20% yung sales natin, magkakaroon tayo ng profit change to 50%, or mag-change yung profit natin by 50%. Okay? To prove, tignan natin. Ito yung actual natin. Sabi niya, paano kapag yung sales natin is tumaas ng 20%? So 100,000 times 20%. That is 120,000. Your variable cost will follow as well. Okay? So 60,000 times 1.20%, that is 72,000, and your contribution margin is 48,000. Your fixed cost remains fixed, 24,000, so your profit will become 24,000. So kung titignan ninyo, nagkaroon ng change of 8,000 pesos increase in profit. 8,000 divided by 16,000, that is 50%. Okay? Tumaas yung profit mo ng 50% by increasing your sales by 20%. Okay? So that's the end of your CVP analysis. I hope you get to review this discussion, kasi isa to sa mga important topics when it comes to management advisory services. Saka sobrang dali lang naman intindihin. So ang important points po dito is you should know how to compute for the break-even point. You should know how to compute for the desired sales in units kapag meron tayong target profit. Okay? So if you have any question, please reach me through Facebook or Messenger. And please try to solve yung mga activities na in-upload ko sa inyong Google Classroom. Alright? So, good luck on your examination. This is included in your examination. Thank you.